From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonder's Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report, counting down the top 10 things of the week that make us go wow.
Wow.
I am Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder. So excited to be reunited with Tom Campbell, our Chief Creative Officer.
It's only been a few weeks, but it feels like so long. I'm glad to be back home.
It does. It feels like an age, Tom. It really does.
It really is not the same without you. I love it when we're all all four together. And we're together for the holidays. I'm so happy.
Four old hussies just kvetching about everything. And of course, then we also have you just heard his voice, James St. James, who needs no introduction. How about that?
Love it.
And of course, Blake Jacobs chiming in. So let's start with our countdown. And number 10.
Number 10.
Guys, I just have to bring attention to the obvious because sometimes things are happening around us and we don't put it all together. But this is the era, the age, even though Taylor Swift was just named Woman of the Year or Person of the Year, Human Being of the Year of Time Magazine, who's really dominating in the world right now are legendary legends, living legends, great old broads. I was here speaking of which, my sister Amy was visiting, and because she was here, I had to leave.
Great old broad.
She's a wonderful old broad, but she always wants me to go and do things like walk. So I have to leave my bedroom. Anyway, we're walking up and down Sunset Boulevard, where I live very close to. And you know what billboards dominate? Cher, DJ Play a Christmas Song, and Dolly, rock star. And which we should, I don't know if you've heard their albums. Have you heard either of their albums?
No.
I've heard snippets of Dolly. I have yet to hear any of Cher's Christmas.
I did just see that Cher's Christmas song made it to where she's had a number one in 7 decades.
Yeah,
now.
she's the only female artist to now have a number one on some chart in Billboard for 7 decades. And I have to say, her single, DJ Play a Christmas Song, I wanna be dancing all night long. Well, it's cold outside, but it's warm in here. You're the only one I want this year. That starts with vocoder is the best. I am stuck with it. I have Alexa play it for me constantly. And one of the very talented writers on it is our own Leland, our own Brett McLaughlin, who's written so many hits for Troye Sivan and for RuPaul's Drag Race. So, I mean, it's in the family. For that reason alone, you have to get on board.
Your theory, though, is so true. There's no IP like old IP. That's what it's like.
If you can still pull off your brand. The other thing is, Streisand's book is out. We talked about that. And it's like, there's nothing new I'm discovering about Barbara or Dolly or Cher, but they can still pull it off and still tell the stories. They've lived another generation longer.
What you're getting.
And on top of Dolly having, her rock album out, she also has just entered the literary sphere where she has the rhinestone book of all of her outfits that's number 10 on the charts.
I love that.
You don't have it, Tom? Bianca?
Not yet, but Christmas is coming up, James.
Yes, I know. We all need a yes. That could be our wow present.
There's also a Dolly Parton documentary coming with full access to her. I just was reading about it on Channel 5 in the UK and Paramount Plus, a Dolly Parton doc.
I had the privilege in a very small way of working with her. And when I was at Gallen Mori, I was an assistant, and I got to go to see tapings. And I tried to get a song on her album Rainbow, which was her lowest rated album ever, but I was not successful. But she was very nice to me and called me by my name in front of my boyfriend once, and that's really all I need from Dolly Parton. But her album is 30 tracks long. And she just, just the sheer energy, and does sort of duets and trip like with Pat Benatar and the Ringo and Paul McCartney and Richard Mark. It's like anybody you can think of, she has done a duet with. Some of them are a little cringy because but I found my favorite is her thruple. If it's not a duet, it's a thruple, right? With Pink and Brandi Carlile, and I Can't Get No Satisfaction. That one rocks. But it's on top of that, and I'll let you guys. But on top, and Cher is everywhere. Cher was at the Macy Days parade. She, Dolly and the cowboy thing, and she's cowboy. She is a drag queen. She's always said, "I'm glad I was a girl because I would end up being a drag queen," because she had all that faux skin and glitter. But also on Sunset Boulevard, Maggie Smith, who's going to be in her 90s. There's some bag, Revere bag or something. Low
She was,
bag. And on the same Sunset Strip is Ladies of the 80s, A Diva Christmas. And it's Lonnie Anderson, Morgan Fairchild,
Lyndon Gray, and
yes.
And Alec Mappa.
And Alec Mappa.
All the old bras.
There you go.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Brenda Lee. You guys know Brenda Lee, the rockabilly lady. She has on the legitimate Billboard Top 100 in the first time in 60 years since she released the song. Rocking Around the Christmas Tree is #1 on the charts.
Well, hold on a second,
records.
Tom. I have a trivia question here, because someone that you just spoke about was backup singer when she was 13 years old on Brenda Lee's Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. Who was it? It never admitted this until just recently on the Jimmy Fallon show.
Alec Mappa.
So close. I want to say Cher.
It was Cher. Cher was 13 years old, and her first gig was backup singer for Brenda Lee on Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree.
Anyway, I love the past, as you know. I'm stuck in Turner Classic Movies. I love the richness, and I love these women who are true. And it's mostly women. I don't know why, or it seems that are just redefining. Cher has just done this tour of Europe. She was like, you literally could every day. She was on a German show. She was on Graham Norton. She's on jets. She's in the airport, and she looks great. She looks rested, and I'm just so excited for this period.
That is amazing. That tour is amazing, because I was tired just looking at the schedule.
Yes. So God bless the great ladies who are entering their fourth act and doing it with style and clout.
All right, James, number 9.
Number 9.
May, December. I had to watch it twice on Netflix. The first time I went into it thinking it was going to be something completely different. It's the Mary Kay Letourneau thing. I was expecting fireworks. I was expecting big, huge scenes. I was expecting drama. It's Todd Haynes, Carol, Far From Heaven, Mildred Pierce, Velvet Goldmine. I was expecting lush, big moments. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It is subtle. It is very, very one note, kind of. It's bizarre. Every single one of them has weird boundary issues. Every single one of them pulls off a masterclass in sort of subtle weirdness. All of them, Julianne Moore, who's
Natalie Portman,
and everyone is saying, everyone on social media, the critics, everyone is saying Charles Melton is a revelation, that he is going to walk away with every single award this season. He is going to steal the Oscar from Robert Downey Jr. And so I'm expecting these huge Oscar scenes where they're melting down and people are screaming and shouting, and it doesn't happen. So I had to go back and watch it again. And the second time, it affected me a little bit more. The first time I was like, what the fuck is this? I had so the second time I knew what was going to happen. So I was more keenly attuned to the subtleties that were going on. The one thing that is absolutely camp as Christmas, as Fenton likes to say, is the musical score, in which I don't know if you guys know this, but it is note for note picked up from a 1971 movie called The Go-Betweens. That is
it's a Michael Legrand score.
Yes, it's about forbidden love
with Julie Christie.
And so there are moments where she opens up the refrigerator door and she says, we aren't going to have enough hot dogs, and it goes bum 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 bum.
On that particular note, I saw this in the theater with my sister, and when that music came on, just at that point, it was so loud. It's the first time in my entire life I was tempted to go to the booth and say, I think something's terribly wrong with your sound, because it is so loud. It is so loud,
but it is incredible, because that's the over-the-top element. For the rest of the movie is not over the top, but the music is so camp and over the top, that's what it balances out. It's a weird teeter-totter, I think. What did you guys
Did you
think
see
of
it?
this movie?
I saw it. It went entirely over my head. I was bored to tears. Nothing would induce me to watch it again. And I was just profoundly disappointed. And like, I was like, this is a big nothing burger.
I ate the same nothing burger, and I worry that the algorithm was designed for people like us just to say they like it. Because I talked to so many of the gays, and they're like, oh, I saw it. I loved it. I loved it. I'm like, I just watched, Midnight Lace with Doris Day the other night.
I did too. Yes.
Now that is a movie, and that is drama. And, I cannot separate any point in my life, but I admit it now, camp and real drama to me are the same thing. They have to affect me. And this movie was like, my favorite part, is, is she's trying to learn from the, Natalie Portman is the actress spending time with the real subject of this movie. And did you know that, and I'm not spoiling anything, but did you know that what's her face, the other lead woman? Julianne Moore had a lisp in the movie until the end of the movie.
But there is a reason for this. And the thing is that the lisp comes and goes if you pay attention. I noticed on the second time. And the more passive aggressive she's being, the more the lisp comes out. And whenever she regresses into babyhood, the lisp starts getting like this. Whenever she's trying to manipulate him, the lisp comes out. But other than that, she does not speak with the lisp.
Because when I first heard her speak, I thought she was from Boston because she sounded like her character from 30 Rock. I thought she was doing
I love her character from 30 Rock.
It was a little bit of this. Anyway, I love everyone involved. Some people love it. I hated it.
Well, that's just because I think, like all of us, we went into it expecting one thing.
A movie.
And it didn't deliver that. But when I went back, like I said, the second time, I was able, knowing that there wasn't going to be any of these big scenes, I was able just to appreciate it for its own merit.
What actress goes to study a subject and has their notebook out and takes notes? It just felt fakey wakey. And then Natalie Portman having that orgasm in the storage closet at a pet store. That was like,
it all felt like it. I just wanted to be campy, over the top, or really dramatic. And I do say the gentleman in the movie, what's his name?
Charles Melton.
He's sexy.
He's very sexy. He was Reggie on Riverdale.
I didn't know that. And
so he is now every single CW person from now on thinks they are going to get an Oscar when they do a CW show.
And the women are both kind of guilty in different weird ways and hard to sort of get behind or understand. But he is somebody who actually has a moment where something changes, where he becomes something else, and that. Yeah.
Where the chrysalis becomes the butterfly. I don't know if you caught that. I don't know if you caught that very subtle caterpillar to butterfly metaphor.
It's a weird one. I don't think it's going to do very well at the Oscars. What do I know?
Well, it's May, December, streaming on Netflix.
Wait, hold on, but he already has won the Gotham Awards. He's won the he's been nominated for the Independent Spirit. He's just was won Critics' Choice, so he's on his path.
All right.
Number 8.
Number 8.
Fashion show Follies. I love fashion shows. I'm not really a fashion person, but I just love the shows, and I always love the idea of like, here's a concept. I'm going to lay it out for you. I'm going to stun you and make you go, ooh. To me, that's like a fashion show. I love it. So I have just, Pharrell's Louis Vuitton, I didn't like the first show. I thought it was just a mess. And the second show, I also think is a mess. And I was reading this article because I'm trying to understand and thinking like, what aren't I getting? Because everybody seems to love it. And
is this the one held outside?
No, that's
Balenciaga. The first one was held in Paris on the Pont Neuf, and then the most recent one, just the other week, was held in Hong Kong on a sort of pier by the beach, and they covered it with sand. And the writer Hyson Abayadi, Jake Silbert, wrote that his vision doesn't comprise a singular look, but a singular attitude, one of wear anything, wherever, whenever. And to me, that's just the point. It's like, what is the point of being a luxury brand if everybody looks like tourists just in the street. I was just like,
what's the line again? Everything, everywhere.
The vision, which I would say is not a vision,
right?
One of wearing anything, wherever, whenever.
I
mean,
would say
also
I would follow that with H&M. We are H&M. Sorry.
I think the deeper problem here is that every single one of these designers, and I'm put Demna in there very, very much from Balenciaga, is that they've all been puffed up to believe that every single thought out of their head, every single thing that they say is a pithy pearl of wisdom and needs to be studied for future generations because they're so meta and they're so they just but they aren't. And I want fashion people just to get back into the business of fashion. Just show us clothes. Stop having to make a statement about every single outfit that comes down the runway. It's maddening to me. And it also brings me to, Fenton, what were you going to say about Balenciaga? Because that, to me, was the most egregious
about
that I've seen in years.
No, I felt
that the one held outside?
Yes, that was the one in our neighborhood in Fenton, when I could not get home after my sister was in the hospital for her broken hip. I couldn't get to her, and then I couldn't get home because of it.
Right. I'm so sorry for you that you were inconvenienced by that. But
no. It's not the inconvenience. No. It's the fact that what you can see on their PowerPoint presentation when they're showing this to the higher ups is that we're going old Hollywood meets the newcomers, and it's going to be palm trees meets fashion and da 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 da. But the whole point of Hancock Park is that this is old Hollywood. It is. People who are not it's the people who probably bought Balenciaga back in the 50s, but don't buy it now, but it also, it's sort of like going to your grandmother's house and stepping on the rose garden. Because this is not the place to do that. It's a quiet neighborhood, and they came in Lisa Rinna, who I love more than life itself, and Kris Jenner, and all these people who are not Hancock Park. They are Calabasas. They are not. Hancock Park is something completely different.
But James, I totally get that. But also I just think this idea of doing the fashion show on the street. Gucci did it on Hollywood Boulevard in November 21.
On Hollywood Boulevard, if you recall, they pulled that Giuliani mess where they Hoover vacked all the homeless people off of Hollywood Boulevard.
It's like come up with a new idea. Like it just felt like a bunch
it's nasty. It's rude.
A bunch of people just walking down the street and no vision. To me, what upset me most is the lack of a vision. And the Balenciaga show, especially, they had those redonkulous, oversized sneaker shoes, which just is annoying. And then they were all carrying Air One bags, and Air One had made a Balenciaga juice that was made out of charcoal. And I'm like, it just felt so unthought out.
Back to fashion. We don't need Air One charcoal.
Anyone can walk down a street clutching a Starbucks in a pair of sneakers and skins.
What are you saying? What is the vision here? Why do they think they're being so deep when they're just clomping around in your grandmother's neighborhood making a scene?
I don't think they're deep. I think people are desperate to come up with images that look different than other images. And does anyone make money on those clothes, or do they really make money on the wallets and the keychains
and the perfume and the blah blah blah? Because all of the clothes are given to Lisa Rinna and Kris Jenner and those people, and whatever.
I'm curious if people are really buying the Louis Vuitton collection. I mean, I just don't see the appealing. It doesn't feel. It's
the people who have the money to buy Louis Vuitton don't want this nouvelle.
They all look like fast clothes. Like it's just like it's like you go out to H&M and then you could just call it Louis Vuitton.
Well, if you were like the Gucci stuff that looked like your thrift stores from the 1970s, just go thrift shopping and don't spend $20,000 on a knit sweater that your grandmother knit.
And I just think everybody's taken leave of their critical faculties, and that's why they're just blowing hot air up.
But I think they're trying to reach a totally different audience than rich people. I think they're just trying to make viral moments to sell bags. And
well, I think that's a good point, Tom, because luxury brands do need to ever, just the overhead of a Louis Vuitton with so many stores and just they need new customers. So they do need to expand that vision of luxury, I guess.
I do. And we've talked about this before, where I don't want reality hosts to be presidents anymore. I don't want rappers to be designers. I want you to stay in your lane, what it is that you know. If you remember when Lindsay Lohan destroyed Ungaro because they thought, let's have Lindsay Lohan, the hottest star in the world, come in and design the line, and literally Ungaro has never recovered from that 2010 moment.
Well, I guess we'll see if Pharrell's got because this article called him the Willy Wonka, and that he's kind of like the, just making magic at the factory there. So
I mean, I like Pharrell as a person, as a performer. I think he's fabulous. I think he's handsome. I think he's talented, but I just don't like him as a designer.
Very good. All right. Meet the queens of RuPaul's Drag Race season 16 on our social media accounts now. And get ready for an all-new season, Sweet 16, the Ruvolution, coming to MTV in January, and of course, outside of the US on What Business Plus. Blake, you got a question for us?
Yeah, I sure do. How did Kramer from Seinfeld get his apartment?
I have no idea. We'll have the answer right after the break on the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
All right, welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with James and Tom and Blake, and your best question of the year without doubt.
Mm-hmm. How did Kramer from Seinfeld get his apartment?
He was sleeping with someone. They died while he was there.
Yeah,
squatted.
Somebody died.
No, he actually subleased it from Paul on Mad About You. There's an episode of Mad About You where Paul and Jamie become obsessed about dying and want to make a living will. Jamie finds out that Paul is subletting his old bachelor apartment, and he insists he settle the lease with the tenant, an odd man named Kramer.
So, that sounds like a crossover must-see TV stunt.
That's right.
I did not realize they were in the same cinematic, or they were in the same pop culture universe. That's interesting.
Me either, and I guess that means Friends is too, because I think Phoebe's twin sister was also on Mad About You.
That's true.
Yeah.
Huh.
We are counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go, wow. We've reached number 7. Tom.
Number 7.
Two of my favorite performers of all time, who I got to know personally a little bit behind the scenes, have one is
Bianca and Violet.
Steve Lawrence and Eydie Gourmet have a special on PBS. Steve and Eydie, Memories of My Mom and Dad, which is narrated by David Lawrence, who's one of their sons, who is a composer of film, a successful man in his own right, looks a lot like his dad. And he had a brother whose name I forget. But what they don't mention, this is a retrospective. Steve and Eydie were both singers from like the Bronx and Brooklyn, and Steve was on the original Steve Allen show. I'm telling you more than the special did, by the way. On the original Steve Allen show, and Steve was the boy singer, and Eydie was hired a week as there was a girl hired, but she only knew 5 songs, and after the first week she didn't have any new songs, so they hired Eydie. Eydie and Steve meet in the show. They do sketches in the show. They date in the show. They fall in love in the show, and then like 5 years later they get married in real life. And they have individual careers, but they are the only like married couple that lasted decade after decade after decade. And they were very old school when music was shifting toward rock. But Eydie had a top 10 hit with Blame It on the Bossa Nova. Steve had a hit with like Go Away Little Girl before Donny Osmond. But I became obsessed with them in the 90s. They were always in the Carol Burnett show growing up. My parents loved them. I always imagined, because my father, the story is that my father proposed to my mother at her mother's house, and they had to wait until my Aunt Olga went to bed, and so it was late at night. And they used to watch the Tonight Show. So I imagine that Steve and Eydie were performing as my father went on one knee and proposed marriage to my mother. They're kind of my Borscht Belt parents. And when I told that exact story to Eydie Gourmet backstage at Caesars after a show in the 90s, she looked at me and said, too much information. And she walked away and sat down. But I won her over one vodka spritzer at a time. And Eydie Gourmet, if you like, she got a Grammy in '88 for singing If You Walked Into My Life, which is this heartbreaking song from Mame. Did he need a stronger hand? Did he need a lighter touch? You guys couldn't be more bored. And it's the song of what happens when I lose the boy, and would he ever come back if I did things differently? And what they don't talk about on the special, it's very serious, but it's very sad, is in their other son passed away of a unexpected heart condition in his like late teens, early 20s, in the early 80s. And Eydie had already made this song in '68, and it was the song you went to see Eydie Gourmet sing. She stole the show. She broke your heart. And years later, she would sing it again with the undertone of she had lost a son that she could never get back. Did he need a stronger hand? Did he need a lighter touch? A lot of the special shows great clips. There's one where they're both beautiful in their mid-60s, and they sing Sunrise, Sunset, which had the same effect on me because I can't separate the story of the artists with their music. And anyway, it's something to check out. It's going to be playing all month on PBS. Tape it and fast forward through the collection. The desires to donate, but do donate to PBS by all means.
All right, James, number 6.
Number 6.
Tom, this is your usual beat, that I'm covering this week. It's the Kennedy Center honors were announced, and they were filmed. The people who were nominated this year or who were honored: Dionne Warwick, Billy Crystal, BG, Barry Gibb, Queen Latifah, and opera star Renee Fleming. Now, I just want to say, God bless Queen Latifah. Nothing to take away from her. Personally, she's an icon. She's a legend.
Yes.
We are at a point where 40, 50 years on, we are starting to recognize and honor early hip hop stars, early rap stars, and this is a perfect place to do it. However, she is still relatively young, right? She's got decades ahead of her still to be going around collecting these type of awards. And when I say this, I'm not taking away from Queen Latifah, but why on earth have they never recognized Liza yet? Liza has not gotten her Kennedy Center. She performs at them. I don't know what she did. I don't know.
I love your twisted logic just to talk about Liza. You go way out here just to go, and what about Liza?
No, hold on, because I have a list of other people who deserve it before Queen Latifah. And once again, not taking away from Queen Latifah, but Bernadette Peter, Patti LaBelle, Madonna, Sophia Loren, Bonnie Raitt, Glenn Close, Bob Newhart, Diane Keaton, Jane Fonda, Roberta Flack, Whoopi Goldberg, Johnny Mathis, Herb Alpert has not gotten a Kennedy Center honor, Anne Margaret, Tommy Tune, Patti LuPone, Jeff Bridges, David Mamet, Spike Lee, Jodie Foster, Ron Howard, Tony Kushner, and Nathan Lane. All these people deserve it before, bless her heart, Queen Latifah.
Two things. One is awards are just weird popularity contests, and they never really represent what's really going on. They try.
Well, don't you believe in your heart of hearts that Bernadette Peters and Liza Minnelli should get theirs before anybody else?
I can't imagine Liza wasn't approached. I don't know. And by the way, Roberta Flack, God rest her soul, has left us, so she's
right. Okay.
But the other reason that Queen Latifah might be getting a little bit of a jump start, again, recognizing what's been ignored in the past, but also she has a series on CBS which airs the
oh, ding 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 ding. Yeah,
it's called The Equalizer. Please watch. So but that might be
that Patti LuPone, Tommy Tune, all these people are not going to be around much longer, and they should be getting their flowers and their laurels.
How do you get a Kennedy Center honor anyway? Is it voted on?
There is a board at the Kennedy Center, performance of the arts thing, and I don't know exactly what they do, but there is a board and they do make the nominations. But how much pressure they get from the network, I don't know, especially in this day and age. Are they going for demographics? It seems to me that there used to be also more classical performers. They have one now in this one, but they're all pop culture figures. So I'm sure part of them is trying to keep it alive as an entity. I don't know. Again, I don't know. We should throw our own award show or make
The
them
Wowies. When are we doing the Wowies?
I think we do them around the around DragCon, which isn't going to be LA, which isn't going to be until the summer.
All right.
But maybe we should do all old broads and old people, just because that seems to be the theme.
That's it.
Bunny, Lady Bunny gets her Wowie.
If you didn't get a Kennedy Center honor, you're
Jackie,
gonna get a Wowie. I mean, like.
And we did on Drag Race All Stars, All Winners. We had the Kennedy Davenport Center honors, which I think we could just we could take up again.
James, when does the ceremony air? It's like in the new year, isn't it?
It's always between Christmas and New Year's. I look forward to it every year, and I will talk about it again.
They've filmed it. They've taped it already, but it will probably.
It always does. And Dionne Warwick is an amazing artist who we saw.
Did you see that Dionne Warwick wore this fabulous ball gown, and then she wore her slippers, her bedroom slippers?
I came here to say that.
Yeah.
Thank you. That matched her ball gown, by the way.
Yeah, I had the same pair of gray slippers.
Yeah, I thought they matched.
All right, number 5.
Number 5.
AI madness. I was going to go on this rant about movies and what is wrong with movies. Why are movies so bad? And I was actually going to start off by complaining about May to December, but we already did that. So that takes care of the relationship side of movies. And then you have the sort of action movie, right? Which is my favorite. The MCU is tanking totally. James, you'll be glad to hear. But also, I think action movies in general. And I ended up watching Mission Impossible, which I think should be called Mission Impossible to Understand, because I have no idea what is going on. And this is why it's AI madness, because you've reached a threshold where once AI is in the house, everything's a lie, everything's unreal, everything's a quantum possibility of something else. So suddenly there are no stakes. And you don't really even have to pay any attention because none of it's real anyway. And it's all meta and jumbled up and a complete, utter mess.
Is it because 3 generations of men have been raised on violent video games?
It's absolutely men are the problem here. But I saw a movie that kind of intrigued me. Oh. It's called The Creator, and it is an AI story movie. And on the face of it, the movie is a complete mess, because it's got everything and the kitchen sink. And tellingly, it's one of those movies that's been financed by about 6 studios from different countries. So the whole result is a sort of committee piece. The most bizarre casting. Allison Janney plays a badass American sergeant major military person who is just right. And she is representing the US. The US has banned AI, and because AI went crazy and blew up LA in an atomic bomb. So the America is now at war with all of Asia because Asia refuses to give up AI. And in Asia, the replicants are living amongst them.
Is this the one with the little girl with the hat, with their half head thing that people were going bananas for this movie?
This is insane story. So America, in fighting this war against AI, this righteous war, because all American wars are righteous, don't forget, they have built an ultimate killing machine, which is called, it's some sort of battleship that floats in the sky. It's, by the way, I will say the special effects in this are absolute magic. It is gorgeous to look at. And so this battleship is floating above, but the evil AI people, the evil AI Asians, have devised the ultimate weapon that will take down this spaceship. And I mean, I'm thinking, well, this spaceship seems pretty evil. It's like this sort of big brother thing that just floats around the world, dropping bombs on people. And so the mission is, Allison Janney's mission is to kill the ultimate weapon, the ultimate AI weapon that has been developed that will win the AI war for the evil AI people. And of course, spoiler alert, it's a child. It's an AI child is the ultimate weapon, which is a bit like the Buddha or the sort of, who's the person in Tibet? Dalai Lama, yes. So sort of beautiful, lovely child who's an AI person. I haven't even got through it yet. I mean, it's about halfway through, but the all I can say is the special effects are absolutely
Everyone kept
stunning.
saying you need to see it in the movie theater because you will be absolutely blown away by the beauty of these special effects.
You will be, even though I think the special effects rule it to such an extent that they actually make no sense of the whole thing, because this gorgeous sort of flying swastika of an American spaceship floats above and it sends down these lights. And so surely the AI enemy can see these. I mean, it's like, if you're trying to attack people, you don't turn on all the lights. You're like, it just makes no sense. But at one point, this tank that is basically the size of a small city block arrives, and it's just firing off bombs. And Allison, hilarious bit is where they actually have these AI bombs. They're little robots that run around, and then they blow themselves up. I mean, so the whole thing is completely bonkers.
Where can we watch this? Where I need to watch it tonight.
You can rent it. Yes.
Who has something? Rent it on what? Like your a VCR machine? Like
on your toaster. On your toaster, you can rent it. It's everywhere. It's available everywhere.
All right, so that's the creator. So
I feel like I don't know where you stand in AI after this. Just so you know, I feel like there's a long exploration in our. We're on for a couple more seasons to keep talking about.
AI is definitely trending, and where it's going to land or work out, who knows, right? But all the AI in movies is sort of it's just intriguing the way people think about it. As is it a threat? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
Well, like you said, special effects have been around forever. We didn't call it AI.
But I think if you recall that about 10 years ago, there was that Zack Snyder movie. I can't remember which one. And it was all CGI green screen.
300, I think it was all CGI.
Yeah. All those movies, that was going to be the death of cinema, was the green screen and everyone acting on. And then now it's AI. I just think we keep moving into these different areas of.
Well, I guess AI is now the new enemy, and that AI is good to have as an enemy because it's not particularly necessarily of a particular race or ethnicity or sexuality. So, because you can't have, your normal villains anymore.
Although it was all Asian people, according to were the villains in the movie, as you told it.
I mean, no, indeed. And they are trying to sort of, I don't quite know where this, I mean, apart from being that's a massive mess, I don't quite know how the sort of morality of it spins out, because clearly America does seem to be the aggressor against Asia.
But I think you're going to alienate a large swath of MAGA red state people who are now in thrall of Putin and China. And North Korea, who they're taking their cue from Trump and they're liking dictators. So you can't really talk bad about, you can't have Russians be villains anymore.
Well, I know this is our base. These are our listeners, James. I know all the MAGA people are listening to the Wow Report every Friday.
They tune in for James.
All right, well, let's take a break. Wow Presents Plus, Season 2 of Tongue Tied with Pangina Heels is new episodes on Mondays. And Big Freedom Means Business, new episodes on Thursdays. Sign up at wowpresentsplus.com. Blake, got a question?
I do. Why does Bob Ross perm his hair?
What is happening with these questions?
I think Blake has been replaced by an AI who is just generating random nuttiness.
Well, the answer right after the break here on the Wow Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. It's Fenton here with James and Tom, Blake, or what used to be Blake, now a replicant Blake, an AI Blake.
Yeah, and I asked, why does Bob Ross perm his hair?
Because
he wants like a happy little tree.
Because he wants a curly.
He did it as a way of penny pinching. He said he would save money on getting haircuts if his locks were permed.
Did you watch a documentary about him? Are you reading a book about him? How did you come across this fact?
I just pull it out of my
Ass.
yeah, or if that's what you want to call it.
Put it out of your chat GPT.
Exactly.
Like you should think about perming your beard. Okay, let's move on.
I'm straightening it.
Counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go, wow, we've reached number 4.
Number 4.
Big story for me that I think affects all of us and it fills me with the feels is the passing of Norman Lear at 101. Talk about somebody who lived 5 lifetimes, right? And was on a Skype call like a week before because they are bringing Mary Hartman back. And he was on a call. They're redeveloping it for TBS. We all have our memories. The one that I'll pull out 2 things is that, I was just talking to my sister about this before she left, before Norman Lear passed away, but we actually sat at Chin Chin and Sally Struthers.
I love Sally.
And
is so fabulous now, more so than the 70s.
Yes. And, and I always feel like I have to deliver celebrity sightings. And my sister always walks by and I'm like, Sally Struthers. And she's like, oh, so I felt good. But we started talking about All in the Family and what it meant to our family in 1971 when I was 8 years old. Because our parents were thrifty. They weren't, they didn't go out all the time. We didn't eat out. My parents would go out to dinner once a week, Saturday night, and they would have their friends, the Fitzpatricks, come over and they would get drunk, get in the car, and then drive to the restaurant. But that's the 70s. They weren't doing anything wrong.
Did you have a perm?
They wouldn't leave. No perms in my family. They wouldn't leave until 8:30 because All in the Family was on from 8 to 8:30. And you couldn't not watch All in the Family. It defined the conversations for that week. It challenged, the first sitcoms, you could do all the reading, but it challenged all of our social norms and made us talk about things we really were talking about. And I remember All in the Family being kind of a reader for our family. Like I remember my mother serving us food and based on an All in the Family conversation going, well, Hal, what would you think if Amy brought home a black boyfriend? And my sister's like 12. And he's like, well, I don't know. I'm not sure, but it made conversations happen around our dinner table that wouldn't have happened. Respectful ones, but just, and it was just such a loving, warm cast. And I don't know why I go to these places because I remember my feelings. But there was an episode, I don't know, 7th season, where it's Edith's 50th birthday. And the actor David Duke comes to the door and says he's a police officer looking for a possible rapist. And he gets Edith alone and he is the rapist. And he has her locked in the kitchen and she finally escapes. Spoiler alert, 50 years later, her cake was burning and she had a moment and she threw it at the guy and ran away. But it helped me, you realize how deeply you loved and felt for these characters. They were like plays, Broadway plays that were broadcast every year. Plus,
I was going to say because Jefferson's and Good Times and Maude and Mary Hartman and different
One Day at a Time. Yeah,
One Day at a Time. And I think about the same thing as when James died on Good Times and she dropped the meatloaf and she screamed, damn, 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 damn. And I don't think I've ever cried as hard in my entire life as when Florida drops the meatloaf. And you see that gif all the time. Damn, 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 damn.
And on Maude, she got an abortion late in life because she don't have a baby. Like there were these. The first time I heard about abortion, I heard it talked about intelligently was because of an episode of Maude. And it just seems like it was this magical time when Norman successfully entertained and moved the national conversation forward.
And what it did for the African American community when you had the Jeffersons and they were an upscale couple who moved on up to the Upper East Side, and you had then you had Good Times and Sanford and Son, which showed reality for many people. So
and not to be diminished, some of the best theme songs of sitcoms at a time when sitcoms always the moving on up. I keep trying to clear that for a lip sync on Drag Race. I think it's the best song ever. And Good Times and By the Way, Glenn Miller played all those and One Day at a Time. I thought was an amazing song. Anyway, Norman Lear,
rest in perfection. Norman Lear, 101, amazing. Number 3, James.
Number 3.
Another rest in peace I wanted to just very quickly mention is sweet, sweet Sophie Anderson, one half of the Cock Destroyers, a sort of a sex positive duo of girls who
were hilarious.
Hilarious. She was over the top in a way that was very Pete Burns, Amanda Lepore with the big lips and the fillers and the comical camp of her look and her big enormous breasts. She was in her late 30s. We don't know what happened. We don't know the details of her death, but she was a great friend to the LGBTQ community. She showed up at the DragCon, the UK DragCon. I know both of them did. She was just a friend of the drag queen. She took her time. She was just a lovely girl, and it's just very sad that we lost her as early as we did. Yeah,
I'm always slightly in awe of adult performers and slightly intimidated of them, but she was always so warm and lovely and welcoming and funny and just really lovely. You just felt it in her embrace, you know? Like,
she said that she has had sex with 80,000 people in her life. That was her claim, which, you know, I mean,
start to add them up, James. Start to add them up.
Yeah. But she was a very sweet and funny girl.
It was shocking to hear, and it's, again, you realize she was in this very room. We had them in the conference room here at World of Wonder, and just made a lovely connection wherever she went. So
rest in perfection, Sophie Anderson. Cock Destroyer. Just love saying that. All right, number 2.
Number 2.
Okay, so word of the year is Riz, and James St. James alerted me about Riz a couple of weeks ago, and
I think James gave me Riz.
Just covered in Riz. So, but I'm not here to talk about Riz, which, by the way, is basically short for charisma, right?
Right.
But it's done with a lot of
when I was in Florida last year, I believe, I was talking to my sort of a nephew, a step nephew, who is 16, I think, and he came out and he was talking about his drip, and none of us had any idea what drip was. It was that moment where you realize how old you are when you have to ask a 16-year-old what drip is, what Riz is.
Drip and Riz.
I think James gave me the drip once.
But I'm here to ask you, and this really does carbon date me, because in the course of looking into Riz and drip and what have you, I came across Roman Empire, and I've been seeing Roman Empire. It talks about such and such as someone's Roman Empire, and I'm like, what is this? So then I followed a link on a USA Today article that was published like 6 months ago, explaining that the Roman Empire meme comes from TikTok, a viral trend of women asking men how often they think about the Roman Empire. And apparently, straight men, I guess, think about it on a monthly or even weekly or daily basis. Now,
daily basis.
Someone who's obviously not straight, I haven't thought about the Roman Empire since I left school, you know, and maybe that's why I'm gay, but like, I'm like, really? People really think about the Roman Empire? Like, and now it's become a sort of thing, right? Your Roman Empire is
the thing you think about.
The thing you think about.
Like it'd be cats or pizza for me.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, are you both familiar with this, Blake? Are you familiar with this Roman Empire thing?
I've just seen it on TikTok before, but I didn't know it was like a big thing.
Yes. Well,
yes. Professor St. James, continue.
I understand it. I think about the Roman Empire all the time.
Quite so.
Frankly, multiple times a day I find myself thinking about
their locker room
scandal movie with, like, you know, Victor Mature in a little toga. I find myself thinking
you're wearing a toga right now, so it's not fair. You have a closet full of togas.
But you know, the hairy thighs and the
Victor Mature.
In fact, hold on.
Oh no, I spoke too soon.
I often walk around wearing my laurels.
Oh, see?
I have a nice, it's my laurels.
You do have laurels. Okay. And sort of related is this other thing currently that most men think they could land a commercial plane if they had assistance from the ground. Did you, like, a study has come out saying 46% of men think that they could land a plane as long as they had air traffic control talking.
And the only place we've ever seen that is in Airport with Jacqueline Bisset.
Right.
Wasn't it somebody like that in one of those movies, or Karen Black or Doris Day and Julie, like women?
This is the new toxic masculinity, I guess.
I guess that's what this is. Yes, but I can't get the washing out of the washing machine. I was trying to open the door and I had to leave it in the washing machine because I can't figure out how to get it out.
So you don't think that you could if it was an airport, if it was an airplane situation?
I think probably not. But how do you feel?
I would joke.
Even if you had help from the ground?
I think even with help from the ground, yes.
Oh God.
I would joke.
Wait, Blake, you honestly think that you can fly a plane easily?
I mean, no, but if I had help from the ground, I would certainly try.
How about open heart surgery?
Oh yeah, I could do
if
that.
If you had an earpiece, could you get through it?
Yeah.
James, do you think you could land the plane?
No, I think I would grab the parachute and jump out. I mean, leave everyone to die. You leave everyone to crash.
I'll be right back. Close, jump.
Like, it's all very well to say you'd try, but like, if at first you don't succeed, skydiving is not for you.
I always heard fuck the world and smoke more weed.
What?
First you don't
succeed. Fuck the world and smoke more weed.
Oh, that's funny.
He is from Arkansas, everyone. Let's remember that.
Let's take one more break. I'm sorry we don't have a question from Blake, but when we come back, we'll reveal the number one thing this week that made us go, wow.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to Wow Report. Fenton here with James and Tom and Blake. We've been counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go, wow. So we've reached number one.
Number one.
I wanted to do a very quick number one in which we sort of bow down to the great Bowen Yang. He did a cold open this week on Saturday Night Live that was just one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. He was George Santos, and he was giving his farewell speech on the steps of the Capitol. And then the set opens up, and he goes to the piano and starts playing Scandal in the Wind, like To Candle in the Wind. And the words are so funny. If you get a chance, just watch it. He really stepped up, and he's the big powerhouse of Saturday Night Live right now. And I wonder how long they're going to be able to keep him. We first noticed him when he did the Titanic iceberg, and that was the tip of his talent, so to speak, where we started realizing how brilliant he is. And he was so good in Fire Island last year or this summer?
I think it was last year. Yeah.
And so he can hold our attention on the big screen. I have a feeling he's got a huge career ahead of him. But like I said, this week, if you get a chance to watch his George Santos,
he really sounded like George Santos, and then sang like Elton John. I mean, it was incredible.
When he was like, I am, General, Major General, Prince of the Realm, Princess of Genovia, or Queen of the Realm, Princess of Genovia. It's just so funny. Oh, he's so good.
Yeah, he's the best.
That's all we got. Thanks for tuning into the Wow Report on Radio Andy, Sirius XM. Previous episodes are on our YouTube channel, Wow Presents.
I'm thinking about the Roman Empire.
Right. And James is still counting. What number are you on? Like 61,933. Okay.
Wait, what are you talking about? What
the number of people you've slept with.
4.
Same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
wow.